My friend Vladimir is a cameraman at a TV production company in Republika Srpska. 27 operators, 2 shifts a day. One persistent problem. Everyone wants second shift. So he called me one afternoon. Then I need a simple application, a shift schedule. Nothing complicated. A table, a few workers who works when. Can you make that for me? One sentence. That was the brief. So every time a stakeholder says, I just need a simple app, you need to hear this. Compressed complexity, fully understood in their head, undefined everyone else. Think about the last simple request you got. The one that sounds like a 2-day task. How many edge cases showed up after development started? Think about that. How many follow-up meetings did it take to define what simple actually meant? That's compressed complexity in action. When you unpack a simple app, run this checklist, complexity hides in 5 places. Prioritization rules, who gets what, when there is enough to go around. Conflict resolution, what happens when prioritization isn't enough and somebody has to lose. Exception, the cases that don't follow main rule. Weekends, holidays, edge cohorts. Constraints, the hard limits, quotas, capacity, business rules that cannot bend. The edge cases, everything nobody thought about until it broke in production. So Vladimir's app had all 5. Prioritization, modest workers who request second shift 1 or 2 days a week get priority over greedy workers who request 3 or more. Conflict resolution, a displacement mechanism that lets a modest worker arriving late kick a greedy worker out of an already filled spot. Exception, weaken logic that runs on first and second choice rankings instead of single picks. And constraints, 30 workers maximum per profile and submission window locked to 4 hours every Friday from 8 a.m. to noon. Edge cases, 7 of them, including holiday or Friday, partial submission, self-deletion by the administrator. Nobody, including Vladimir, knew these existed when we were started. That's what was hiding behind the table, a few workers who works when. And here is the principle I want you to take from this whole module. This is not a scheduling problem. It's a resource allocation problem with completing demand and constrained supply. That pattern shows up everywhere. Booking systems, pricing engines, prioritization queues, customer support routing, capacity planning, everywhere. So everywhere demands exceeds supply and somebody has to decide fairly and automatically who gets what. You don't need to understand broadcasting to follow this case study. You need to understand completing demands. Once you see the pattern in Vladimir's app, you will see it in your own backlog within a week. So a few specifics about my schedule, because they shape every story we will write. These details are not background color. They are what stops AI from guessing. And without them, you get a generic shift planner. With them, you get stories that match your actual product. The interface is in Serbian language. The AI cannot guess that the word for worker is radnik. Drop that single term into context block and every story we generate changes. By the end of this module, you will have watched one phone call become a 12-section product Bible. And I will show you all 12, okay? But 3 of them carry most of the weight. Users, constraints, scheduling window. Those three alone would have prevented half the back and forth, half the Slack messages, and at least one broken assumption that would have shown up in development. So in the next lecture, I'm going to build that product Bible live on screen in 5 minutes. You will see exactly how 5 minutes of context injection replaces hours of stakeholder ping-pong with a draft your team can actually react to.